Might as well. Good morning. Happy, beautiful day. What an honor to be with you guys here, right now. We are live, most definitely, and we're streaming on a number of different platforms. And it's my pleasure to be with you here. And we're going to be talking about mastering your mindset. I think this is one of the most fascinating conversations we could have. Of all the conversations we could have, I think that has to be one of the best ones. Would you not agree? So let me just play something for you guys while as many people find this broadcast as possible. We're also on a LinkedIn audio space as well. You can listen on audio. You can join us here live on video. But I want to share this with you just first, just to get you guys in the mood.
Is today the day where you make excuses? Or is today the day you make a decision? Is today the day you get distracted? Or is today the day you get laser focused and do great work? Is today the day you get stressed, doubt yourself, you feel anxiety, frustration, anger? Or is today the day you dominate your day by taking control? The easiest choice to make is to go down the road most traveled. The challenging choice to make is to tread a new path. The question is, are you ready to go down the path to your greatness? Every day, there is always an opportunity to build, to create, to advance, to make progress. And you're either moving forwards or you're going backwards. If you want to make breakthroughs and move through the resistance that you're probably always going to have, but moving through it in a way that you make progress, you become more. It's now time for you to listen to your future self. A great life, it doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. So every day where you feel that resistance and you have the thoughts of, I could do it later, recognize that within that moment, you have the ability to use the power to take action. The challenge is to just get started. Not now, but right now. So today, look at all the things that you could do and ask yourself, do you want to win? You see, to win is to know what's important now. Say it with me, bring it on. Bring on the resistance, bring on the challenge, and allow yourself to have the feeling of elation when you've got started and you've done something that you said that you were going to do. And the more you do this, the better you will feel, the more adept and the stronger you will become at moving through the resistance that we all face. What's the greatest thing that you will ever do? Just get started.
Will it be? Will that be the greatest thing you ever do? Just get started. Thank you so much for being here. We're live on a number of different platforms, and I want to thank you for being here because you don't have to be here. You're obviously here for a reason, and I wonder what that reason is. So what I want to share with you in the next, let's say 14 minutes and 24 seconds. Why 14 minutes and 24 seconds? Well, that's just 1% of your day. And I don't know whether you've got 1% to invest into literally just stopping, stepping back and being curious about your mind. Because let's face it, how many of you have ever mismanaged yourself? How many of you have ever felt any emotion and you've thought, why am I feeling this way? Have you ever done something and thought, I wish I hadn't done that? The reality is, for most people, we are not using our minds in any way near the shape or form of the capacity that we are able to use them. And we're living in a world that's moving in such opposition for us using what we have. More and more, we're giving our free will to programs. We've lost our attention. We're getting distracted. But the question is, are you ready to stop? Are you ready to start being more curious about the intelligence that you have? The ancient intelligence. I know how many people around the world are so into this artificial intelligence, but you have an intelligence which I think is so powerful, So amazing. And that's what I want to share with you over the next 14 minutes and 24 seconds. Please, if you want to share this broadcast, please share it. You just don't know who might see it because people need this information. People need to stop, I believe, before they go anywhere, because unless they stop before they go somewhere, they're just going to go around in circles. That's what human beings have the capacity to do. So what I want to do is I want to share with you this new revolution of mindset, what that is, how to elevate your thinking. Who is this for? Well, this is for people that want to stop mismanaging themselves. This is also for people who want to understand the nature of the mind, to understand why we sometimes get fixed in the way that we think, and understand really what a growth mindset is. So if you're ready for that information, just let me know. Just let me know if you're watching this live, and if you're able to comment, just put 1 because you're watching this live. If you're watching this later on, just press 2. And like I say, if you want to share this, please feel free to share it, because like I said, you just don't know. Because the world right now is full of a lot of people who are what? Lost. A lot of people who are suffering from anxiety, depression. Yet we've never had more opportunities to connect. We've never had more information. We've never had more videos that we can watch, podcasts we can listen to give us the right information for us to make positive changes in our life. But what's happening? What is actually going on in the world? Now, maybe you have an opinion about that, but I most definitely have an opinion, and that's part of what I want to share with you. So let's first off just discuss for a moment, what is mindset? What does it mean? Well, ultimately, what your mindset is, it is your beliefs, it is your personality, it is your character. It really basically is the narrative. It's what you're saying to yourself. It's your personality, it's your mental attitude. So with your mental attitude, with your beliefs, with your personality, it's what you then, with that, it's your thoughts and your actions and your behavior that are associated to your mental attitude, to your personality, and to your beliefs. Do you agree with that? Look, I'm someone who has spent years looking into understanding the human condition. I'm more into it than I've probably ever have been. I'm so curious about what is the experience of being you. You know, that's one of the things. Whenever I work with anybody, I'm just curious, what's it like being you? Not to judge, not to blame, not to shame, not to criticize. What is the experience like of being you? And it might be very varied. Chances are it is very varied. There's some joy, there's some frustration, there's some stress, there's some anxiety, there's some frustration. But really, if we want to elevate our thinking, we really want to master our mindset, we have to stop and we have to step back, and we have to look at the view that we have of ourselves. And these are big questions. These are really big questions. And sometimes this stuff that when we talk about it, it's not very sexy. Sometimes it might be more sexier to show you my 6-pack, or to show you things that I have, things that are outside of myself. But when we're talking about mindset, we're going inside. We're starting to look at the makings of ourselves. And this is really when we start to learn more about who we are at our core, where we live in a world where most people have a fixed mindset. So that's really one of the key points I want to share with you today, the fixed mindset. And this work, this revolution in mindset, there's a few real pioneers in this field. I'd like to think I'm one of those pioneers, but one of them is also Carol Dweck. So Carol Dweck is a professor at Stanford. She's written an amazing book called Mindset. It's amazing. And I've really pulled that book apart. But I realize there's an elevation to that. And maybe she's also elevated, because I'm sure she doesn't think, well, she must have a growth mindset if she's written that book. That it's a field that is ever evolving as we boldly go where we've not been before. So a fixed mindset really is what most people have in the world today. Or even maybe you have maybe a bit of a fixed and a growth mindset. And what I'd like you to picture is the fixed mindset and the growth mindset like two separate worlds that you could go into. You could travel to one of those worlds. So let's start off by just looking at the fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset, and society is really set up for people to feel fixed, to feel that the way they are is just the way they are, and there's not much they can do about it. So their personality, their character, their intelligence is set in stone. This is who I am. And for a huge part of my life, I had a fixed mindset. I went to school and I was labeled dyslexic. So I immediately started, one of the most populating thoughts in my mind is, I'm not as good as everybody else, that I believed there was something wrong with me. And we're set up in a world basically where those messages are coming at us all the time, that you're not this and you need that, and you can't be this until you have that. That's how the world works. We live in a world where marketing basically is about marketing to the pain that you're in and trying to get you to realize that we can get you out of pain and into some sort of pleasure. The fact of the matter is that when you have a fixed mindset, you tend to live in a place of urgency. You tend to live in a place where you don't want to expose your true self because you don't feel that you're good enough. And it's not surprising that so many people in the world today, when we really look at how do you feel about yourself, most people feel that they're not good enough, that there's something inherently wrong with them. And I'd say there's nothing inherently wrong with you, but there's something inherently wrong with the world that you're living in. And unless we learn to stop and appreciate who we are, we're in trouble. And why this becomes even more important is because of the nature of the mind, which again isn't something that we are taught. What is the nature of the human mind? This is so important. If you can start to understand what is the nature of the human mind, what does it do? Well, the mind is the brain and the body in action. What we see the brain and body do has a direct correlation to what you're doing with the mind. But the mind, really, it is, if you think about this gift that you have, this amazing gift, it has a real tendency to produce suffering and misery and disappointment and frustration and fear. You know, why? Why would it do that? Well, I don't know the answer to that. I've got some theories around it. And one of those theories is we are wired to survive. We are wired to protect what we have. That's how we've survived. So it's very easy for us to be in a world where we're looking out for danger. Because once upon a time, we were very small in a world that was full of giants, big animals that wanted to destroy us. So we had to be on our guard. And most people with a fixed mindset are on their guard of being found out. It's so fascinating. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's fascinated to help people go on that journey. And that's what I specialize in, helping people go on that journey that only they can go on, to walk that path with those people, for people to discover who they are at their core. Because I believe at your core, you have a growth mindset. We really do. Look, in Hinduism, there is a word called Maya. In Buddhism, it's called dukkha. In Christianity, it's the original sin. In Greek, it's called missing the mark. It's understanding what your mind does, unless you learn to stop. And people want to control your mind. People want to take control of your mind. You know that, right? Surely you understand that. People, I want to control your mind. I want you to do something with your mind, as opposed to getting you to do something that perhaps you really don't need to do. And unless we learn to stop, and that's why for thousands of years, people have spoken about the importance of getting to know thyself. The ancient intelligence, the Greeks talked about this. And when, I'm trying to remember the Greek philosopher, it wasn't Socrates, basically said, because the whole thing of know thyself was about knowing your limitations. But then it was, people delved more deeply into this. It wasn't just knowing your limitations, it was knowing your soul. The Greeks believed everyone had a soul, that knowing who you are at your core. Because when you have a growth mindset, and I think a lot of people kind of think they have a growth mindset, but I don't think they do. I'm so curious when I start to work with people, you realize you're saying this, but you're doing that. Because a growth mindset, what does that actually mean? What it means that you know that the hand that you've been dealt with is just the starting point of everything. It's the starting point of everything. That your potential basically is unknown and it's unknowable. That you will never know just how great you are. You will never know just what you're capable of. Isn't that fascinating? That's really what a positive, or I say not even a positive, it's a growth mindset. When you have a growth mindset, you know that there's going to be resistance. You know things are going to be difficult. You know it. And you want it to be difficult. You literally want to do it. And this morning when I was on my rowing machine, from the moment I started, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. But what's that got to do with it? What on earth has that got to do with it? If it's got anything to do with it, it's exactly what I want to feel. Because a growth mindset knows that I need to grow through this, go through this. And we live in a society today where we praise natural talent over diligent, patient practice. That's the society that we live in. We look at, oh, look how talented he is, look how great he is, as if he was born like that, as if Beethoven came out the womb and was writing and composing music, if Michael Jordan was dribbling, at birth. When we look at great people, they have this growth mindset. But this is the thing. And this is, again, if this is the only thing you take away from what I'm sharing with you today, this could seriously change your life. You see, what Carol Dweck has done is amazing. And there are some great people out there, great professors and scientists and researchers that are really looking into neuroscience and how our brain works. But there's always another level. And I think the moment we think I've arrived, that's when we're dead. I think the growth mindset is this constant wanting to grow, constant wanting to improve. And that's different for everybody, I believe. But when we really look at taking this to another level, it's not just about growing, it's actually about knowing that there is a future version of yourself that already exists, that's already talking to you. I just don't know whether you're listening. I mean, right now, as I'm talking to you, are you really listening to me? I don't know. You're probably distracted. You're probably thinking, I've had enough of this. I need to go off. You've lost your mind. You've lost your ability to focus your mind. That's why when we look at ancient virtues, the virtues of courage, the virtue of temperance, which is willpower, being able to just focus your attention, to put your mind somewhere. Is that not the greatest thing you'll ever do with your mind, is put your mind somewhere? Mindset. What have you set your mind on? If you set your mind on growth, if you've set your mind on serving, which is what I personally believe we're all here to do, is to serve. We're all here to serve. But how can you serve better? To serve in such a way that when you produce whatever it is you produce that you want to serve, you don't want to keep it to yourself because it will rot. It's what do you want to give to the world? And if you grew and you were better mentally, physically, emotionally, and how much better, how much more could you give? What do you want to give to the world? I mean, these are big questions. And I'm sorry if this is just too much for you to take in. Maybe you just don't want to go away and start scrolling and looking at something else to just give you a little bit stimulation. This is the problem in the world, that so many people are transfixed on things that give them something that just doesn't give them enough. That's why they keep going back. I'm getting something from this. I'm getting something, but I'm not getting enough. What is it that you're really looking for? Because the growth mindset is when you wake up, you don't blame, you don't shame. This is where you are right now. This is where you are is where you are. But when you stop and you look and say, what's the experience like of being me? You'll observe that there's a voice in your head, right? You know that voice? The one that's talking to you? That one. You know, there's that roar of silence that we can all experience. You know, the other day I was at a funeral. I was at Derek Draper's funeral, Kate Garraway's husband. I used to work with Kate Garraway. I've been friends with her. I so admire Kate Garraway for who she is and the fact that she stuck with her husband through what most people just wouldn't have been able to handle. I resonated with that because that's what I did with my wife. And it was fascinating because Tony Blair, I mean, everyone was there. Piers Morgan, I mean, all these people, many people I used to work with when I was on television, had a career on television for 10 years, had my own TV show. So that was a world I knew. It was very weird going back into that world. But Tony Blair got up and spoke, and he's an amazing auditor. I mean, he's a great speaker. I mean, really, I think he's fantastic. And then Elton John played at the end. I mean, literally, you couldn't make it up. But when you see how people deal with difficult situations like Kate, you see who she is at her core. And most of us are waiting for difficult things to happen for us to decide who we want to be, rather than don't wait for that. Know who you are today. And I personally believe I'm one of the best people in the world to help people walk that path. I just can't walk that path for them. Because ultimately, the true growth mindset is to start listening not to the voice that tells you you can't, not to the voice that wants to protect you, that wants you to be fixed, doesn't want you to get ahead, doesn't want you to get found out, but that other voice, that version of you that is already out there, you're just not listening. And I'm like a lawyer that's coming from your future self, coming to you today and saying, hey, come on. It's time to wake up and listen to a version of you that already exists. I think that's the ultimate game, right? It's who are you listening to? And we know right now we have so many people that are listening to people. There's so much information that we're taking in, and it's stopping us from really taking control of who we are. I would like to help you walk that path, but I can't do it for you. And many of you know, how many of you that are listening to this or watching this, you have done my 30-day Kickstart program, my 365 30-day Kickstart program. How many of you have done that? We must have had, I don't know, 25, 30,000 people that signed up to that program with good intention, right? There was something that was driving them to do it. They thought that was the answer to everything, but it wasn't the answer. It wasn't the answer. You're the answer that you're looking for. And you see, the thing is that if I'd said to everyone about that program, if I'd said, listen, forget the program, I'm going to give you £50,000. I'm going to give you £50,000. Just come round to my house every day, knock on the door for 30 days. How many of you would do it? Yes or no? You'd do it. £50,000. I'd show you. Here it is. Look, 50,000. There it is. How many of you would do it? Most people would do it because they can see they're going to get something out of it. Most people, because they're fixed, they won't do something because they either think it's too far away or they just don't see the point. They just think, well, I'd rather get something from today, which gives me something, but maybe doesn't give me enough. And yes, this is my invitation to anyone to go through my Kickstart program. It is absolutely free. And the problem is when things are free, many people don't value it. I know a lot of marketers who think I am crazy to get people to do this program. They say, why do you put something out there that most people don't complete? Why don't you put something together which is a bit easier, maybe 1 day or 2 days or 3 days? And maybe they've got a point. But ultimately, I'm just looking for people that can make breakthroughs. And as I and other people help people go to a place they've not gone before, you are all welcome to go through that program. And we have a WhatsApp community. Anyone can join that as I help as many people get through that program. But what is that program about? This Kickstart program. It is about bringing the growth mindset to life. It's about mastering your mind. It's about getting you to focus on who you are and where you're going and who you're committed to becoming. And if you're up for that, fantastic. Let me just do a quick recap before we finish this, because I've gone over 14 minutes and 24 seconds. I said one thing and I did another. Let's talk about this. What are we talking about? Mastering your mindset. What is your mindset? Your mindset basically is your mental attitude, it's your beliefs, it's your personality. And basically what you do with your mental attitude and your beliefs and your personality, that plays out in your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, into the results that you're currently getting in your life, how you're performing. We are goal-orientated creatures. It's about the outcomes. What are you producing? And if we really want to change our mindset, we've got to stop. We have to stop, because if we don't stop, we go around in circles. That's what happens. Most people have a fixed mindset today because they feel they're not enough. They feel that their intelligence, their personality, their character is fixed, and they will be in defensive mode. They're scared to try things, to fail, because they don't want to be found out. I was like that for many years of my life, and maybe you've been like that. The growth mindset and the fixed mindset are like two different worlds. Which world are you in? The growth mindset, the real growth mindset, is where you want to you will let go of the result. You just want to focus on the doing, because in a weird time bending way that the future and the past and the present don't exist, which is, I know, an expansive way of looking at the world. But if you think about that version of me, it's already here. Well, I'm just going to act like that person. I'm going to listen to that version of me and not this old outdated narrative of my old self. Look, I'm just ready to help as many people make huge breakthroughs like never before. I've been through an incredibly difficult period of my life, as many of you know, but it was profound enough to make me stop and appreciate who I am and what exactly do I want to do next. And what I want to do next is work with more people who want to make more breakthroughs as I help to serve the people who serve. So I want to thank you for watching. I'm going to end this broadcast. We are still on LinkedIn audio. if you want to come onto that platform. But actually, before we do that, for those of you that are watching on LinkedIn and Facebook or wherever you're watching this, tell me, what's your biggest takeaway from what you've just heard? Because I'll bring up some of your comments on the screen here. James, thank you for sharing that. I know you've gone through some major challenges recently. Thank you, David. Thank you, Claire. It's lovely to have you here. Lovely to have all of you here. What's your biggest takeaway from what you've just heard? And if you want to do something for me, then feel free to share this. You know, literally, just share it. You don't know what will happen. If you're looking for more, then please feel free to check out my 30-day Kickstart program. Like I say, it's free. I encourage people to buy one of our journals, but you don't have to buy one of those. It's entirely up to you. You can get started right now if you want to. It's so nice to see so many of you here. And feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for all your comments. I can see them piling in. I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you, Julia. Good to see you. My mindset flicks between closed to open. Need to be more mindful. Yeah. Well, I'd say you get to be more mindful, because I'm glad you said that, because the last thing I'm going to add about this is what people don't appreciate, and they really don't appreciate, is the mind, really. Well, the brain, thousands of years ago, it used to weigh just over a pound. Now it weighs over 3 pounds. So we have a bigger brain. And with our brain, what can we do that we couldn't do back then? We have what's known as an experience simulator. So we can simulate experience in our brain. We can actually use our brain to see, to imagine, to create. It's just, what are we creating? Most people are creating futures they don't want. Yeah, good. I'm glad you've gone through it again, Hugh, because you'll get more out of it this time. And anyone who completes that program, I will speak to them. I'll get on a Zoom with you. I'll talk to you. And I appreciate you. Tracy, good to see you. I saw you're going through the program again. So look, I want to thank you for being here today. Whatever you're up to for the rest of the day. There's Kate. It was good to speak to Kate yesterday, the importance of being present in what I'm doing. Yeah, it is a big challenge. I think ultimately that's when the real growth mindset is, when you let growth happen by being present. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's definitely a wonderful thing to be able to do. So I just want to thank all of you for being here today. If you want to join me on LinkedIn audio for a few moments, feel free to do that. But for now, I'm going to say ta-ta. You guys are great. Have a wonderful day.